Must be Monday. I see you, Joel.
I see you, Mia. How are you doing?
Well, I am doing well. Just a little FYI, I got my shingles vaccination and didn't feel too great for a little bit, but now I am up and running. So
We're so glad you could join us. It's so much
I
more fun
I put
with you.
I like to put the fun in dysfunction, Joel, and in travel. So it's great to see everybody today. I actually didn't want to miss this one because even though I help you host this, boy, do I learn a lot with all of these. So, and it looks like, we have people that please make sure to comment if you are here because Joel, you mixed it up a little bit today. We're giving away more than we
Yeah.
usually do, right?
We're going to have a little fun with this. So, we'll give a few savings cards away. And by the way, the first person to comment wins the first one. We're giving away $100 savings cards. So the first person to comment, we will make note of that. We will send that off to you after today's webinar.
It looks like this one, but we'll see. It's always hard to tell because not all of them come through.
Woohoo,
So
I made it. You
yes.
just won a $100 savings card.
Woohoo,
We're also going to do our normal, $100 random drawing for comments because we love participation. It helps us to, know where to take the conversation, helps us get the word out to other people who might not have been alerted about this webinar. So comments, we'll have a random drawing at the end. We do that every episode, but we'll also just have a few little, just for fun, just to see who's paying attention. First person to answer correctly wins a $100 savings card. So we'll give a few of those away today.
I love this kinder, gentler Joel of giving away even more. Like, that's super fun. And that keeps us all engaged, actually. So I do want to say, because I would love to be able to say your name on the broadcast as well, if you can go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give that permission. And that's the only thing you give it permission for is to show your name. So it looks like this, like Jordan, like
All
John.
right. Hey,
love
John.
the text. Oh, he loved the texting reminder link. I do too. Actually, I know to show up here, but if I didn't, I would love that as well. Hi from LA. Great to see everybody. That's you from Detroit. That's you, the first person. Okay, awesome. I can't wait. All right, keep them coming, y'all.
All right.
You ready? Let's dive in. You have a lot to say.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk, we normally talk about the two rules of the JGoot way of travel. And these are two subsets that go into that. We talk a lot about that inside JGoot Lounge. When I announced this post, I talked about, all of our travelers pretty much use these two rules for when they travel. And when I say all of our travelers, all of our private coaching clients inside JGoot Lounge.
Yes.
And we're gonna flesh that out a little so that those in the village can start to think the JGoot way.
Yes.
And the two rules we have, we're going to talk about today. They're called the $120 rule, as well as the penny per point rule, and they are foundational principles of the JGoot way of travel. And they're foundational principles. Like if you want to stretch your dollar 5, 10, 20 times farther, these rules help you do that. So we're going to talk about some examples, why this is important, how it can help you improve your travel game, whether you become a private coaching client of ours, or if you just remain in our free group, JGoot Village. These principles are universal principles that can help you up your travel game.
Yes. I love the idea of the exponential dollar amounts, by the way. Making more, like just traveling better, because we get in that mindset. You talk about it all the time of just what can I get for free or cheaper. We're gonna flip the script on that, aren't we?
Yeah, and you know what? That's what it takes. So many of us, including me, for so long traveled the best way we knew how.
Yes.
And it's a Henry Ford quote comes to mind. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you always got.
Same results. That's right.
And that's, it does take a change of mindset. We're going to talk about that today. And we're going to use these examples as, or these rules as examples of how that can help your travel game. So let's dive in and talk about it.
Yes, we will. And hi, Mary. Good to see you too. And I also want to remind everyone, if you're getting the email, I'm going to post that link. You put a really great link that has actual interviews and all of the different videos we had done of people, of the real live people that are doing that. I'm going to post that in here too. I don't want you to watch it now. I want you to watch us. But if you're looking for, in addition to what we're talking about, these are some actual examples too, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I cut it short on examples of screenshots because we could show them all day, and we'll show you where you can go find more examples of clients who are traveling this way, who will never go back to their old way of travel.
Awesome.
It's that powerful, and when you watch these, you kind of think, come on, this is too good to be true, and that's the biggest limitation. Another Henry Ford quote: "Whether you think it can be done or you think it can't, you're right."
I love that one. And it's really annoying when you're thinking in the wrong way too. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Oof.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, let's talk about it. The first one we talked about is the $120 rule. And this really comes into play in a lot of ways, but the airline industry is really, really complicated. Sometimes you have sky high fares, no pun intended. Other times you have bargain basement rates, and there's this space in between, and we get asked this all the time. Like we say, look for bargain flights and go where those deals are. And then people say, well, how do I know if it's a bargain? How do I know if I should grab it up or if I should just wait? And when you apply this rule, it's pretty much a hard, fast rule. Like, this is the most you should pay. If it's more than that, you shouldn't pay. You shouldn't do it. You should look for better. And if it's better than that, go ahead and grab it up, because it's among the best 10% of deals out there. So this instantly gives you an idea of value on any flight from anywhere to anywhere in the world by applying this rule. So it's kind of like a price ceiling on the most you should pay for any flight anywhere. It gives you clarity on whether you should snatch it up or sit and wait, because a lot of people, should I sit and wait? By the time it gets to the prices that fit the $120 rule, it kind of falls in the category of who cares? Like, who cares if the price goes down? This is a great enough price that you should just grab it and not lose any more sleep over it.
That helps a lot, by the way, because I have spent, I've agonized over some of these questions. So you're speaking to my soul with that one.
Yeah. We've all done it. Like, should I grab it up? Could I get it lower?
Right.
At these prices, once it hits that threshold, just grab it.
Yeah.
Especially these days when canceling and changing flights is so easy. And then the most important is that it gives you leverage. We're kind of coming back to that, the whole yin and yang of the rule 1 and rule 2.
Yes.
They support each other, and looking for cash deals, especially for cash deals that passed the $120 test. Those are how you can not be so dependent on frequent flyer points. They're how you can you don't need frequent flyer points at all, and you can save those for much higher redemptions.
Hey, do you mind, since we have a lot of new viewers who may not know about rule number 1 and rule number 2 of the Jay Goot way, can you just pop over those real quick?
Yeah. So we keep two very simple rules that pretty much apply to any and all travels out there. And rule number 1 is look every day for bargains that are so good you can't pass them up. Rule number 2 is always be building a stash of points for when you can't find those bargains. And between the two, it's impossible not to pay 80, 90, 95% less than what everyone else pays for the flights that you go on, whether those are coach flights, business class flights, whatever you like. If you've got a big family and you just want to travel more and you don't necessarily care about first class, these rules apply. If you're empty nesters or retirees and you're tired of flying in coach, these rules apply to all flights. Rule 1 and rule 2. And these are two foundational principles that support rule 1 and rule 2.
Thank you.
So everybody. So the other principle that we're going to talk about today is the penny per point rule. Sometimes I call them principles, sometimes I call them rules, just not so as not to confuse between rule 1 and rule 2. But yeah, it's really a penny per point rule, and this is kind of a price floor. So the $120 rule is a price ceiling that tells you the most you should ever pay when using cash. The penny per point rule is a price floor, as in your points are so extremely valuable, you should never, ever, ever waste them for less than a penny a piece. Sadly, that's what 90% of people do, and that's why 90% of people don't get excited about the points game. And they kind of think, oh yeah, I tried that once, it didn't work. Yeah, probably because you got less than a penny a point. Probably got a gift card, you got a statement credit, you used it for
Cashback.
Our favorite one is for an iPad.
Yeah, that's right. Ouch. There's several of us.
I mean, so the penny per point rule is a great also for perspective to give you a price floor of, look, if I'm going to get less than a penny a point, don't use those points. And if you are going to use them, we talk about how to use them. So at least you get more out of those points. You can get 2 or 3 times more out of those points if you follow a certain rule, but you need that perspective. You need that rule that you're not going to waste points for less than a penny a piece.
Write it on a Post-it note if you need to.
Yes,
right next to your
penny
computer.
a piece. I actually, it's funny. I have a penny taped to my computer.
That's
it's actually
your
a different reason,
for
a different story for a different time. But
I like it.
Yeah, you could do that for a penny a point. Don't ever waste points for less than a penny a piece because they can be worth so much more.
They can. And I see some questions that are coming up, y'all. We're going to get through all this great information. And then at the end, and then we also have people that are here in the audience in the background. Brooke is amazing. She was actually going to stand in for me today. So thank you for putting on the lipstick and getting ready. But now she is in the audience and she'll answer your questions as well. So don't think we're ignoring you. We're just going to get through all this good stuff first.
Yeah. And we've also got Josh and we've got Kevin,
yes,
and we've got Jordan behind the scenes who can answer any questions along the way as well.
It's a team. I love it. It's a community.
So let's just kind of do a 30,000 foot view of the penny per point rule. Again, this establishes value. Like it just allows you to quickly know that price floor of don't ever waste points for less than that value. It's an excellent backup plan. Again, it gives you that perspective. Should I pay cash? Should I use points? Well, these 2 rules help you just instantly know for any flight that you're looking at. These provide luxuries that most of us would never in our lives spend real hard-earned money on. Unless we're the upper 1% of the population, most of the rest of us wouldn't spend real hard money on these luxuries. Points make that possible. And then, of course, the last thing is that this gives you leverage. And again, you can use cash to leverage your points. You can use points to leverage your cash. These 2 principles help you do that. So let's talk about some examples of the $120 rule. It's actually a really simple rule. The rule is that you want to apply $120 per hour of flight time. And that's just one way. And that just gives you an instant idea of how much a flight should cost. Peak season, it'll cost a little more. Off season, it'll cost a little less. But for the most part, 80, if not 90% of people who fly on planes pay these rates. I like to call them rack rates. Like that's just what most people pay for these flights. And because of those beliefs, people think, oh, well, it can't be possible to do it for less. It totally can, especially when you have this perspective. So for example, if you applied the $120 rule and you were looking for flights from just a quick flight from San Francisco to LA, or LA to San Francisco, or LA to Vegas, those are both roughly an hour flight. You apply the $120 per hour rule. That's basically $100. That is what most people pay for a quick trip like that. That's for a round trip flight. That's what most people pay. When you travel the Jay Goot way, you don't pay that at all. basically this tells you never pay more than that for business class. So if the $120 rule says it's a $120 flight because it's just a quick 1 hour flight, that means don't ever pay more than that, not for coach, what everyone else is paying, but for business or first class. That's your new rule. In fact, like we have lesson 1 when you join our paid coaching program is a homework assignment, and it says print this out, and it has a chart that says don't ever pay more than these prices. And it shows the most you should pay for Asia, the most you should pay for Europe, the most you should pay for anywhere in the domestic United States. And they fit these rules. So $120, that says don't pay more than $120 for LA to Vegas for business class. Don't pay more than half of that for a coach class flight. So we're basically saying don't ever pay more than $60 for a 1 hour flight for coach. You shouldn't ever have to when you apply these rules.
That's the best screenshot slide right there. Let's leave it up for one more second and then we'll do this. Screenshot, everybody. That's a good one. Awesome.
All right. So let's just do another example and we'll stick with LA for the sake of comparison.
Okay.
So LA to Paris, that's an 11-hour flight. If we apply the $120 rule, that's a $1,300 and change. Well, I mean, we can use round numbers. So round down, it's $1,300. Don't pay more than that for business class. Most people pay that on average for coach. Now, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you've paid. Now, don't just go for the one best price you've ever paid in your life, but what do most people pay? LA, not New York, LA to Europe, for round trip flights. My guess is they're well over $1,000 for coach seats.
Sure. And yes, please keep commenting because your comments do count as we have our little giveaway at the end. So please do. We want to hear what you've been paying. And someone asked, is that one way? That is,
yeah.
This is. Mm-hmm.
So the rule is, like that's a one-way flight. So that's an 11-hour flight both ways. You just use this so you can quickly think of it in your head. It's easier because most of us have a rough idea of how far it is to Asia, how far it is from LA to New York, how far it is from LA to San Francisco. Most of us know that off the top of our heads. You could do it by mileage, but no one knows that. So ours, we all have a good rough idea of how long a flight is. And that is your baseline for the most you should pay for a round trip flight. So in this example, LA to Paris, that's an 11-hour flight. 120 per hour rule that says that's a $1,300. That's what most people pay for coach. We don't do that because we travel the Jay Goot way. So the most we're going to pay is $1,300 for business. In other words, if it's less than that, it's a pretty good deal for business. That wouldn't be a good deal for New York because that's about 5 hours less of a flight. But LA to New York, that gives us a price ceiling for what we are willing to pay for business class. And we don't want to pay more than half of that for coach. And again, this is a price ceiling. This isn't what we're aiming for. We're aiming for a lot less. But the beautiful thing about this rule is, oh, look, that someone paid $1,700. So an $800, look at that. That averages out to about $1,200.
We did have one that paid $330 round trip in 2018, LAX to Paris on Air France. Look at that.
Yep. And so we're going to have averages all over the place. I bet there are people that have paid close to $2,000 for coach. And again, that average is $1,300, but that's not what we pay. We want to pay what everyone pays for coach in business class. That's the goal.
Yes.
And then here's just an example I dug up from a testimonial from a client. And this, I love this testimonial because it speaks exactly to the whole mindset that opens all of these possibilities up. So I'll just read it out loud.
Yes.
Sage, who paid $273 round trip from LA to Paris. He just said, I just bought the tickets to Paris from LAX for $273 round trip for next March. Dates were on my son's spring break. So they weren't looking for that trip, but they found the deal, and it just so happens that they could massage the dates and it fits with their school calendar. again, find the deals first. A lot of amazing things happen. And here's the key. He said, we weren't planning on anything, but the email popped up and all work stopped for an hour while I got tickets booked. We now have our next 3 vacations planned. That's the key here. All work stopped for an hour. 1 hour. They planned a Paris trip, typically the most expensive part of a Europe, Asia, Africa vacation, which can take days. It took them an hour. And instead of hunting and scraping and trying to find a bargain flight that fits their calendar, they found a bargain flight and they spent an hour coordinating their calendars to make it happen.
I love that.
My family and I are doing the exact same thing right now. We're planning a trip this summer because we found bargain flights in business class. And when I say bargain, I'm talking like under $200 in business class with points. But like we're looking at our calendar to make that deal work.
Right.
It's so much easier than trying to find a deal that fits your calendar.
It really is. And I see a couple of folks are asking, planning a flight, looking for tricks to work for Christmas time. So we get that, that can be tough, but this is the key with Sage's testimonial here too, is weren't planning on anything, but the email popped up. And that actually is referring to an email that you will get if you are part of our lounge coaching program. And I do have this type interested. So, but then I saw that Brooke also put in some suggestions of where to search as well. So we have a couple ways for you to do that here.
Yeah, and I see a question about last minute travel. We can plug that maybe between segments. And so another question: how do you do that without points? You look every day, and you plan your trips around the deals, because the deals that you find when you look every day are so good that that's how it works out.
Thank you, Brooke.
So let's look at another example.
I know it's hard if you're just now tuning in. And again, it looks like we have some new ones to understand one without the other. So just bear with us, because I know it's a 2-parter.
Right. Man,
That's
we won't go down that rabbit hole.
I love that one.
Yeah, this was really fun. So this was Michelle and I in Beijing, and we followed some instructions. We went there first thing in the morning, because this, like, 90 minutes later was a zoo and full of tourists, but it was empty by getting there first thing in the morning. And we found this other couple. They were like setting up pictures, and I'm kind of picky with photos. Like, a lot of times we'll just prefer a selfie over someone else chopping our head off or forgetting to have the landmark that we're taking our picture in front of.
No, thank you.
But this couple was doing that. So like we walked the whole wall, not walked the whole wall. We walked, for a good hour and took pictures of each other, because we both kind of had an eye for photos.
Yes. That's a great.
But fun little travel tip if you come home with mediocre photos from getting other people to take them. So another example, LA to Beijing. Now I chose LA because we have an LA testimonial. So Michelle and I flew from Denver, and we did it on points. But LA to Beijing, 12-hour flight, so $120 rule. That's $1,440, round down to $1,400. That's the most you should pay for business class. The most you should pay when you travel the Jagut way is $700. In other words, if it's under $700, it's a pretty good deal. Probably not even worth wasting your points on. Go ahead and snatch it up. That's going to give you plenty of room to upgrade if it's a coach flight.
Right.
If it's under $1,400 for business class, that's a pretty good deal for business class. Business class to Asia can be $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 round trip. So when you find it under $1,400, don't worry about whether the rate's going to get lower. Snatch it up.
And great point about that too, because when you start looking at these numbers, 12-hour flight, things like that can make people just cringe of thinking about economy. But again, at least get that, and then you'll have the opportunity to figure out how to upgrade.
I didn't pull up this example as a testimonial, but one of the members in our group found flights to Japan in coach for under $200. And she let everyone in our coaching group know, and like 5 or 6 people are going to Japan because of round trip flights under $200 in coach. Now, when you do that, you can splurge and upgrade. I think they only bought it. Mira, who found this, only bought it one way, and they splurged to premium economy. And she just confirmed a first class upgrade. And their total cost for that one way to Japan in first class is going to be under $400.
So worth it.
Yeah.
So worth it.
From New York. Here. So that's like a 15-hour flight.
Totally. And Mira is here, by the way. She popped in earlier. So, we always we use Mira for many of our great examples. And I see some comments here. Yes, Brooke exactly is saying these are just cash deals. So keep that in mind too.
Mm-hmm.
And not every trip is going to be, how can you upgrade? That also depends on who you're with, what kind of points you have, right? So these are examples, examples of trips. Not every trip is going to be the same, but once you get into that mindset, woo, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and those, that's a class in itself. We have a class on how to upgrade flights because there is a science to it.
Yes. And good point. Brooke is clarifying these. You bought these in first class using that rule number 1, again, looking every day. And it's a great habit to get into. Then you wake up. I know I wake up every morning and get my email from my J Goot Lounge. And I'm
right.
like, where do I think I might want to go? Oh, this is a good example too from Stella.
Yeah, so this is a client who implements Look every day. She watches our trip alerts and basically found a deal, 348. Now again, this was coach, but with 348, remember our baseline is 700, so that's well under anything that's classified as a good deal. Like anything under 700 is a good deal. You probably shouldn't waste much time. Just go ahead and snatch it up. Buy it, do your thinking for the next 24 hours when you can cancel it, and then figure out if it works with your calendar. So grab up the deal. And then, so they flew in coach. You could do that, or you can keep eyes out for deals that are under 1,400. And those are, again, phenomenal business class deals. And those are the most you want to pay. We have plenty of clients who pay half or a third of this price ceiling that we recommend. So again, this isn't a rule. This isn't an average. This is the most you will ever pay for any flight anywhere in the world. That's your goal. The $120 rule is a price ceiling of the most you will ever pay, not the average you will pay. And again, it's mostly so you can quit like thinking about, are these going to drop anymore? Who cares? It passes the $120 test, snatch it up.
Can I just say this real quick? Mira just popped in. She gave us a correction. Nope. She got cash back from Amex. So it'll be around 200 with 25,000 American Airlines miles for the two of them. So,
so in Mira's case, it was kind of a hybrid. And that's the beautiful thing. Like when you have a set of rules for how you find deals and a different set of rules for how you upgrade deals and a different set of rules for how you're going to use, whether you're going to use cash or points, it gives you limitless possibilities for stretching your travel dollar 3, 5, 10 times farther. This is why this is a coaching program. It's kind of like learning a new language. A lot of people say, how are you different from the points guy? Well, the points guy is a travel blog. If you like reading, that's great. But when it comes to learning to travel hack, which is what this is, it's like learning a new language. So do you want to learn a new language? And do you think you're going to become fluent in that new language from reading a textbook? Are you going to become fluent in that language from reading a blog? That's what our coaching program does. Our coaching program is like having a personal interaction with someone who is fluent in the language of point hacking.
And I love that we have experts on different languages. We have a lot of different languages in the lounge too. So we have some that, one that's in the Southwest, some that love luxury travel. They have people that are empty nesters. So there's a lot of different variables that we throw in there as well. And I just want to bring up, so I know Brooke is out there answering these. You can put in the search and then toggle to watch these flights, because these are for folks that were talking about Google alerts. We also had a question about Arab Emirates, if there's deals on those, because we have people looking for those too. So have you had any experience with Emirates?
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, we're in the process of booking a vacation with Emirates. I haven't flown
Ooh, that's the
personally.
one. Okay,
Um,
fancy.
we've had little rivalries. I've flown Singapore Air. Other friends have flown Emirates. Now we're going to get to compare.
I can't wait.
So
That's
yeah.
gonna be exciting too.
Well, I see a lot of points questions. We're going to come up to that with the penny per point rule, but let's wrap up the cash
Yep.
stuff. So a lot of this, again, $120 rule, LA to Beijing. This was just an example. This is a little while ago, but same thing. These are the most we want to pay. And often when you have that standard, like that's when you have a number of the most you're willing to pay, without a shadow of a doubt to snatch it up when it's much lower than that. Because you're not like getting confused with like average prices. We don't deal with averages. We're cherry picking the best 10% of stuff out there. And so, for example, when I found $110 round trip flights to Cabo, I called Michelle and said, "What are we doing in July?" She said, "Where are we going?" And I said, "Cabo, can you take one extra day off of work?" So we did have to make a sacrifice. But again, it took a lot less time for her to call and make sure she could get a sub because she was a teacher. So she had to make sure she could get a sub one extra day over Thanksgiving. So we took $110 flights over Thanksgiving to Cabo, which are normally a very expensive time to go. But we found the flight. We spent 20 minutes discussing our calendars, and we went.
I love it. Joe, it looks like Joe has the same thing. My wife told me to stop looking every day. Same thing.
Yep.
Where are we going? I would that is a great problem. Right.
I think I did a duplicate there. So, and what about business class? Again, these rules apply. So the $120 rule determines what most people pay for any given flight in coach. But when you travel the Jay Goot way, the most you want to pay is that's the most you want to pay for business class. So it's built into both. It determines what most people pay. It determines the most you should pay for business class, which is normally 3 to 10 times the cost of coach. You're basically saying, nope, I'm not traveling like everyone else anymore. That's the most I'm going to pay for business class.
Yeah.
And then you get even pickier if you have a big family, or if you're a quantity over quality person. We have some members who are like, nope, I still don't care. It takes more points to fly in business class. I'd rather just do it in coach. Fine. So travel twice as often and lower it even more.
Right.
So, so either pay the $120 rule for the most you pay for business, or half of that as the most you should ever pay again in your life for coach.
Yes.
So, and here's just examples that Michelle and I have used. Denver to Cancun, we found $307 first class flights. A little more expensive. Someone else did it for $301. One of our members did it for $301, but I don't have a picture of that. So I use
becomes
this.
a competition sometimes. Really? Because
hers is actually a way better deal because she did it from Chicago, which is farther.
Sure.
So basically, 307, no brainer. Hurry up and grab it, because average says that's 480 round trip. So we got a business class for 307 to Cancun. And if you're looking at a 4-hour flight, well, the most you should pay for coach is 240. If you find it above that, keep looking or use points. If you find it below that, hurry up and grab it, because that's a good deal.
Look how fancy that looks too. And Brooke, thanks for the comments in here as well too. And then you got another one, Denver to Chicago. Okay, great examples.
So 171, I bet we can find half a dozen, if not a dozen people on this webinar that have paid more than that for coach. Again, the goal when you travel the Jay Goot way is business or first class prices for coach prices or less. And these are price ceilings. So basically, $128 rule says $300 is what most people pay on average to fly to Chicago from Denver in coach. That's the most we'll pay for business class, and we won't pay more than half of that for coach.
Perfect.
So we talked about a bunch of examples from LA and a couple random ones from Denver, but what if you don't live in LA. That's the beauty of the $120 rule. It's calculated based on hours of flight time, and it's surprisingly accurate no matter where you live in the world. It might be a little more if you live in a small regional airport. This does assume like international hubs.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, you could round that up. If you live in a regional airport, apply the $150 rule, or get yourself to a major hub and apply the $120 rule.
Yes, I was just going to say, keep an eye on for that too. You know, if you're putting that into the Google flights or the kayak, think about the cheaper flight, or start searching from what is the nearest big hub that you can get to. So don't just think of it just from your small place too.
One of our case studies is from Jessica a few weeks ago, who lives in St. Louis. That's a secondary, it's not a major hub. And they used to have to travel to Chicago just to get reasonable priced deals. Now if they travel to Chicago, it's for a phenomenal deal. And half of the time they can travel out of St. Louis because they apply rule number 1, they go every day, or they look every day. But again, this is a universal principle. And so if you live in LA or San Francisco or New York or Miami, it doesn't matter, because you're determining your max price that you're willing to pay from your airport based on flight time to wherever you're going. And again, this always assumes international. If you're going to a regional or from a regional airport, round it up, call it a $150 rule. The same principles apply.
I do see some questions about Southwest, so I know we can answer that too. So we are talking about international flights as well. So I know we're getting ready to transition. Maybe we can do a little giveaway, since I know you were talking about randomly throwing that out there.
Yes, let's
when you're
do
ready.
that. And that good timing. That
From
was going to be.
Anywhere. Yeah. Read your mind.
But how? So the question is, how do I find those prices? Wherever your home airport is, how do you find those prices? The first person to answer correctly. I'd love to give it to interested, but so
Gotcha.
The first person who answers correctly, how do we find those kinds of prices? There we go. Facebook user, look every day. Look every day. Nothing more important. I could take a 90-year-old grandma who's never touched the internet, give her a crash course on the internet and teach her where to look every day, and she could beat the pants off of the savviest internet traveler who looks via traditional methods.
Exactly. Samuel, thank you for that word. That's where you go, but the how is right here. I'm not sure who that is, so we'll let you know on here too. So, wow, I appreciate that. Yeah, look every day. Look at all this. Go,
all right. I love it. I love it.
Yes. Search every day.
And so for anyone, Google Flights is a great place. Kayak Explorer is a great place. We have a video in our guides section of the Facebook group. So in Facebook or JGoot Village, there's a little menu up top. You can go to the guides section.
Yes.
And the very first video of rule number 1 shows you 10 different sites that you can use to apply rule 1.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
If you're interested in our coaching program, we actually do that work for you. So we have we used to have a newsletter service where we have analysts who look every day for our clients from Denver, from LA, from New York, from the major airport closest to you. And as a part of our coaching program, we do that for you. That's how much I believe in that principle. I have 6 to 8 analysts who work 7 days a week looking for bargains every day, and we send them to our coaching clients. So instead of going to Google Flights and searching yourself, instead of going to Kayak Explorer and searching yourself, you check your email at what times yours come every morning, Mia?
Between 6:02 and 6:05.
You check your email every day. Takes about 30 to 60 seconds. If anything looks good, jump on it because it passes the $120 test.
Yes, I'm supposed to meditate first, but I first look at JGoot. That's a form of meditation, and then I do my meditation. And Stephanie, thanks for popping in here too with the comments about not underestimating Southwest. That is our Southwest guru. So I love that. Thank you for that. Yeah, some good price in here.
The meditation reminds me of one of our clients. We were doing a case study who instantly started traveling 3 times as often. He already traveled a lot. He was a savvy traveler, but he said he and his wife discuss our trip alerts every morning over their morning coffee. And half the time sometimes he says it's kind of like scratching a lottery ticket. You never know what you're going to get, but it's always fun kind of just dreaming like what might happen. And they've planned a lot of their trips just based solely on our daily trip alerts. So
I love this. Melanie says hers also arrived between 6:02 and 6:05. So apparently that's her meditation time too. And I love that. That's like there are couples that are planning that together. So it is a daily habit. And as you mentioned too, like for instance, you weren't thinking of going on that trip and then you saw that, and that kind of opens your mind up to, rather than thinking time-based, you're more open to, oh my gosh, I've never been to XYZ. That's one of my favorites.
And I tell you, it's so much easier to ask your boss for an extra day off of work, or ask your kids to skip a soccer game or Girl Scout camp or a day of class than it is to ask the airline to drop their price on the day you want to travel. It's just infinitely
super
easier.
Quotable. I love that. You're right. It's kind of like they ask for forgiveness rather than permission. It's that same thing too. And I love this comment from Samuel. Jay-Goot trip alerts over morning coffee. Romantic. All right. And then, yes, type in interested if you would like more information. We do have a question about how much the coaching program is. We don't talk about that on here. We actually want to make sure that it's a fit for you. We're not a hard sell, folks, and our prices do change. We want this broadcast to stay evergreen.
Yeah, we try to make sure that our free content it's a coaching program in itself. We've taught tens of thousands of people to travel the Jay-Goot way, and we do that for free. And the people who want to take it to the next level can talk about our private coaching program. We've had 4 official price hikes because we keep having to add resources based on our customers' needs. So yeah, we don't discuss price here, not because, it is inexpensive. It's a coaching program. And it does involve one-on-one work that guarantees that you can fly anywhere you want in the world in business class. So it's not a $27 ebook, but it is a coaching program. But we don't discuss price because that has continued to go up.
It has. And I just posted a link in here for the guide section. I just posted that in there. That's where you can look at a lot of these things and you can do the work yourself. And we have tons of information. So please don't feel like it's an all or nothing with us too.
Absolutely. And don't discount these rules. This isn't like watered down information that you have to pay us for the better info. This is the same stuff we teach inside the lounge. We just go many layers deeper inside the lounge.
Super fire hose, eye bulging amount of content. I will tell you that. That's the one thing you'll go like, oh, wow. You asked for it. So when you get in the lounge, there is a lot too. And yes, Jordan, thank you as messaging. I know Kevin is messaging as well. So awesome. All right. What's the next part?
So penny per point rule. Now we're switching from, looking for cash bargains to knowing how to use your points. Because again, I would say 90, if not 95% of the world's population doesn't know the sheer power of frequent flyer points. And if you didn't watch last week's presentation, it's well worth the watch. We give about a dozen examples of, taking $500 worth of points and getting $2,500 to $5,000 worth of value.
Yes.
Because most people think of a point as worth a penny. But like if you invest in a stock, it could go up, it could go down. If you get a frequent flyer point, when you follow these rules, it will never be worth less than a penny, and it can be worth 5, 10, 25 cents. Now that doesn't sound like much, but what if you could take this jar of pennies and turn them into quarters? That's what you can do with points. And that's the thing. Like if for anyone who's sitting here dismissing it or tuning out, oh, we're now to the points section, I'm tuning out. You're missing out on way more power than rule number 1.
You are. And I'm going to pop, I had this up here. I'm going to pop it back up here again. If I know some folks had asked about, because we're going to talk about points, about what cards these are the cards that we are recommending right now. I just want to say, so if you go, what about this? I got a good deal. Please go and check out this link. These are not affiliate links. These are links, though. What's the phrase that we use? They are linked to some of our referral links, linked to our experts. It's a great way of paying them back for their time as well. But these are the cards that we love. So please make sure to pay attention to those.
Yeah. So for anybody who just asks kind of ambiguously, like, what's the next card I should get? Well, we answer that. We answer that for 2 cards. We always kind of keep the top 2 cards that anyone dipping their toe into the points game should start with.
Yes.
After that, there is no universal answer. It depends entirely on your individual needs. Depends on where you travel from, depends on where you like to travel to, depends on whether you want to travel in coach or business, depends on how you like to travel in hotels. Yeah. All of those have entirely different answers. So but the good news is anyone can get started, and we have the top 2 cards that we typically recommend that are going to get you the most bang for the buck. They're going to allow you to turn those pennies into nickels or dimes or quarters.
All right, here we go.
So the penny per point rule, let's just do a 30,000 foot view. The value of this is that you're establishing, you're just keeping in the back of your mind, points are worth way more than a penny a piece. Don't waste them on an iPad. Don't waste them on an Applebee's gift card. Don't waste them on a credit back on your credit card. So many people have done that. I hear people like, oh, I already have the Chase Sapphire. Great. What'd you use the points for? Because that should have been $5,000 to $10,000 in value.
Yes.
I got a Applebee's gift card for $200.
Yeah.
This is why we recommend starting with it. So like just having that as a floor, don't ever waste your points for less than that. It's great as a backup plan. So when you can't find those flights that pass the $120 test, well, guess what? You got points. And by definition, 9 times out of 10, those points are going to be worth more than a penny a piece.
And you use some examples already in some of these trips with hybrids of that you may have paid for this flight, but then use points to upgrade as well. Lots of different variables for that too. And that's also what I like about the lounge is then I can work it out each individual situation too. Like, should I do this? Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, and again, the other thing is like you use your $120 rule for practical reasons. We want to go to Europe. Oh, look, it's a great deal. Let's just pay cash. Right. Then you don't need to go through all this brain damage of analyzing points. Forget it. If it passes the $120 test, it's probably not going to do better than a penny per point with points. If it doesn't pass the test, well, then hopefully you have points, which is why we teach always be collecting points. Mm-hmm. Whether you have a redemption in mind or not, if you're always collecting the points that we recommend, we talk about that in the 10 free sites video in the guides section. We're not going to really spend a whole lot of time on that here because we've been talking a long time, but we go into that in depth for the top cards we recommend. So if you're always doing those 2 things, you get to use your points for more than a penny a piece. You get to use your cash when those points are worth less.
Right.
You win every time. And of course, it's, I got ahead of myself. This is leveraged when you leverage the $120 rule with the penny rule, $120 rule for price ceilings, penny per point rule for don't waste your points for less than this. You've got the whole spectrum covered.
Yep. Deborah says, I used to upgrade to business class from DC to Australia using points.
So here, let's do this. We have to point to our left.
Okay. There you go.
This is a screenshot right here. Print this out. Put this up on your wall. If you're sitting on 100,000 points and don't know what to do with them, if you're sitting on 1,000,000 points and don't know what to do with them, this is the minimum that those points are worth. Do not waste 10,000 points on less than $100. Do not waste your 100,000 points on less than $1,000. Don't waste your 1,000,000 points on less than $10,000. I don't care if you get a $10,000 statement credit. It can be worth way more.
Watch
How
this.
much more?
I know this. I'm still going to take a screenshot.
Oh, here. We'll go back. Well, this is a better one. This is a better one.
Ooh, yeah. Think big.
Here, let's do it again. Let's point. Screenshot for the screenshot.
All right, this way. I'm doing it the wrong way.
There we go. Screenshot. Print this page out because this is what they can be worth. Are they going to be worth that every time? No. What if they're only worth double? That's better than you can do in the stock market. It's better than you can do with cash back. Like because it can save you $2,000 in flights. It can, so $100 worth of points can save you $2,000 worth of flights. $10,000 worth of points or 1,000,000 points can be worth so much more than 10,000 points.
Absolutely. I was wondering if Warren Buffett ever got in touch with you after that big gauntlet you threw down on the last show about the stock market. Stay tuned for that.
I'm not holding my breath, but haven't heard. So is this, and actually it's not a best case scenario. My personal record is 23 cents per point. I've seen someone bragging about getting 70 cents per point. I would need to see like a ticket and screenshots and all sorts of stuff to believe it. But my personal record, I'll show you I think I'll show you examples. I forget which screenshots I got. Try to mix it up. So print this out, live by it. And if you're not excited about points, print this out and get excited about it, because that's the potential of points. 10,000 points, which isn't a lot when you don't know what to do with them, can be saved, can be hoarded. We like to call it hoarding points for the right redemption, where you can get obscene amounts of value that, again, most of us would never spend our real hard-earned cash on.
I feel like the guy in The Hobbit that says "my precious" about my points.
Right. So quick. Here's like a lot of these you need a calculator to figure out. But a quick assessment: just drop 2 zeros. Like that's the minimum you should spend. If you have 50,000 points, drop 2 zeros off of that. That's how much it's worth. $500. If you have 1,000,000 points, drop 2 zeros. That's the minimum that it's worth. So never, ever, ever redeem points for less than that. Even if you just keep accumulating and hoarding points, if you don't know how to get more than a penny a piece, just keep collecting them. Keep applying rule number 1. That in itself will pay for our coaching program. Join our coaching program. We'll show you how to do these earning multiplier or redemption multipliers.
Hey, I'm going to pop this in here real quick. When referring to the value of these points, we're referring to the major cards, Amex, Chase, not referring to, for example, PNC points. So, can you just address that just for a second? Yeah.
That's a great question. And that's also why we talk about there are the right points and there's everything else. So what you want are those flexible points. You want points that contribute to Chase Ultimate Rewards. So a Chase Sapphire card, Chase Ink card, Chase Freedom card, all of those combine into Chase Ultimate Rewards. You can take those points, get them out of Chase, put them towards Singapore Air, put them towards United, put them towards Southwest, put them towards Hyatt Hotels, put them towards like 14 different transfer partners, where you will get infinitely more value out of those points when you know how to find the deals. Membership reward.
Just to tell, as an example, even with Amex, I had mistakenly had Amex Delta. So also not the same thing as well, too, because that's just usable with Delta.
Yep. So individual airline, you can get this kind of value, but it's exponentially more work.
Yes.
Because you don't have any options.
That's right.
It's like getting a gift card to one restaurant. You're stuck with whatever they're charging. Whereas if you have a Visa gift card, you can apply it to whatever store you want, no matter how good the bargain is. You could spend it at the dollar store and get 1,000 items, whereas, you're only going to get $1,000 worth of stuff at Nordstrom's. Now, terrible analogy, because who wants 1,000 things from the dollar store? But
hey, now, don't judge it. I've really put some value into the dollar store, but I love that though. It's such a great example of just like you said, Applebee's before. Like you're going to get tired of Applebee's. I don't care how much you like their bloomin' onions or whatever that is. So might have the wrong restaurant. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, bottom line, the easiest to use, the most valuable to use without a lot of expertise are Chase Ultimate Rewards and Amex Membership Rewards. I haven't ventured outside of those two card families, and I've been doing this for quite a while. Most of our experts would agree the same way. Yes. Capital One is kind of a third place, but there are just multiple reasons where it's way more complicated.
It can be.
They've gotten a lot more competitive, but and most of our experts still put them as third place. Like, why complicate all the stuff you have to keep track of when you could just stick with chasing Amex.
It's so true. Time is money. Time really is money. So if you have to spend a lot of time on that, and Sherry, we will definitely reach out to you because she has some specific questions and she's in the lounge. Boom. That's how it works.
Well, and Sherry, yeah, that's checkpoint 2. Sign up for checkpoint 2 multiple times. Mira just found out a member was in New York. So she said, oh, forget that. Let's get together.
She did.
She's our checkpoint 2 expert.
She is definitely. Yeah, Mira. See, Brooke that's how it works. Have the card still trying to figure out how to get more points. We definitely have those in the guides as well, Kira. I don't know if you're part of the lounge yet, but check out the guides too. And then if you have these cards, y'all, if you're looking for the right cards, go to jgoot.com/cards.
Yeah. So, and yeah, checkpoint, we have checkpoints. One is about like which cards are best for your needs. We have another checkpoint of how to get a lot more points out of your existing cards. And we cover in checkpoint 4. So those are both earning multiplier conversations or topics that we cover. We do that inside our page lounge. We also cover those at kind of a basic level in Rule 1 and Rule 2 of the guides section of JGoot Village. So, and
I'll repost those again. And people are asking, what is a lounge? And that is our coaching program that we're talking about. So if you're interested in at least seeing if it's a fit for you, go ahead and type in interested, and we'll reach out to you. So
yeah. JGoot Village, that's essentially our free coaching program. We show up every Monday for free. There's only so much we can do with 23,000 members and an hour a week. The rest of the week we spend helping our paid coaching program inside our paid coaching clients inside JGoot Lounge. So the Village is a free sample of what you get. It's probably about a 5%, maybe 10% sample of what you get inside JGoot Lounge.
Yep. I'll post that link again for the guide section too. We have a few more questions in here, but yes, so go ahead. $3,000 flight, 6 cents per point. That's crazy.
So this is Mira using 50,000 points, which is not a lot of points when you learn to earn points 3 to 10 times faster. And they took a luxury 3,000 per person flight, and that redemption was worth 6 cents per point.
And there's a question: where did the 50,000
that was on Emirates,
points?
By the way?
Oh, there's the Emirates. Where did the 50,000 points come from? Was that the price offered by the airline?
That was a price offered by the airline. I don't know where she transferred those points from. I doubt she earned them with Emirates, because what we teach are called earning multipliers. We teach you how to take your everyday spend and earn 2, 5, 10 times faster. So you earn points through your chase cards that we recommend through jgoot.com/cards. And then you redeem them faster through redemption multipliers. So those are the 2 different ways that you earn and redeem more efficiently.
And just to let you in behind the veil, that's what I'm in the middle of really deciding. This is my hunker down, learning to knit again and learn about multipliers. Just to let you know, 2 of my goals for the wintertime.
Yeah. And they are 2 different skills. One is, how do you earn points 3 to 10 times faster?
Yes.
And then how do you take those points and turn them from, $10,000 worth of points at a penny a piece to 50,000 at a nickel a piece? That's all you're doing. You're just learning how to multiply those points. So you get to compound the 2 together. And that's how all these people are doing this. This is Andy. This is one of our coaches. He's our checkpoint 6 expert. And, we've got checkpoint 1, which is like baby steps. We walk you through hey, here's how you can protect yourself and fly anywhere in the continental US for free. Checkpoint 2, we build it up a little. Checkpoint 3, we build it up. Checkpoint 6 is this guy. This is Andy. He is our ultra luxe travel expert. And this is him in also Emirates. He used 70,000 points to book this $14,000 flight. That's his own private, 8x10 private apartment in the sky.
Oh, gosh. Can't get
20 cents per point.
Yeah.
So do you want to spend $14,000 cash? Most of us would never spend real money doing that. Or do you want to use $200 to $400 in taxes and points that take little to no effort to earn? It's kind of like passive income, except it's with credit card spending. You know, do you want to get a penny per dollar spent on your washer and dryer, or do you want to get 25 cents back on your washer and dryer?
Definitely
that you can then take
mindset.
and put towards a flight and multiply again.
And we also talk in there too about, you know, planning of what type of things you're going to buy. I did a lot of planning with a big move that I did. So like I got the new printer, you know, like the things that I knew I was going to be spending a little bit more than my regular just life, that daily life spending, and made sure I was doing that in the right place.
One of our members just yesterday posted, like, we share a lot of victories with each other. And one of our members just said, oh, my daughter's been wanting Uggs, and I was holding off till Christmas, but I found them for 23 cents or 23 points per dollar spent. So I just spent $100 on Uggs and I'm getting 2,300. Actually, I think it was 2,700 points through the earning multiplier principles that we teach. You do that 5 or 10 times in a year, and that's a first class flight right there. That's
parenting points and travel points. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I missed that part.
Yeah, because I think she's like, well, you can get them now, or you can wait till Christmas. If you wait till Christmas and choose your color, then like she basically said, you can get them now because I'm getting insane amounts of points.
Yes, and thank you, Brooke. I know there's some questions out there, so she's fielding them. Jordan is out there as well. We also have Kevin, and who are our other folks that are helping from the Jay Goot team today?
Jordan, Kevin, and Josh and Brooke are all kind of behind the scenes answering questions.
Yes.
So, and yeah, I mean, this is also why we don't discuss price. We now have 20 people that are all dedicated to helping people inside Jay Goot Lounge.
Yes. And obviously we're going to go over a little bit on time because we had so much to say. So still stay tuned with us as we're finishing up. We are going to do one more giveaway, but Joel has some more good stuff here.
Yeah, and this is just examples. So this was a 70,000 point flight. This was and actually I'm looking at this. It's the wrong flight. I tend to mix them up. But this was our flight to Beijing was 70,000 points. It was an $8,500 flight. It was United Polaris. Wow. And I know this is the wrong picture because that's American. But we basically got 12 cents per point.
Wow.
So again, we took a jar of pennies, turned it into a jar of dimes and change. Just by knowing how to redeem them. Those are what we call redemption multipliers.
Yes.
So that's the all the examples that I have. My other question that I was going to say is, how do you so first, to answer correctly is, how do you keep from needing to depend on all of these points? So we've showed all sorts of examples, 50,000, 70,000. Another example of 70,000 points. How do you do this game without being completely dependent on points? First, to answer correctly, by Jay Goot standards, wins a $100 travel savings card.
I'll let you look through and
then we'll go ahead and tally how many questions we had.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll do a random drawing. Kevin Shaw, first answer. Yes. We look every day. Because the deals that we find every day typically inspire trips that we weren't thinking about, which fills our travel cup, which finds prices at a fifth or a tenth of what most people pay, and you don't waste your points. So Michelle and I, we flew to Indiana for $29. That's normally a $350 flight. Everyone thought this was when we were just dating. Everyone thought we were going to make a big announcement. No, it's because we found $30 flights. Why not plan your trip for $30 instead of like waiting until the time we go?
Because everybody always, makes these big trips to make these big announcements. And you're like, nah, $30, folks. Yep. That's really funny. Eileen, I hope so too. She says she's planning on trying to go to Ireland next year. So definitely keep an eye out for that too. But yes, thank you, Kevin. Look every day. And then Kira wanted to know if there's a free guide on redemption multipliers.
So redemption multipliers is the easy answer is it's transfer partners. You want to accumulate through earning multipliers, and you want to accumulate those. If you're spending on an Amex Delta card or a Southwest card, there's a caveat to that, but
Yeah, I was about to say.
Any individual branded card, you should probably stop spending on that. And if you don't, and start spending on a Chase Sapphire or a Chase Ink or a Chase Freedom
Right.
or an Amex Platinum or an Amex Gold or an Amex Blue or an Amex Green. Like any of those cards are so much more valuable. Once you're accumulating those points, you then want to take them and get them out of Chase or out of Amex and Google the term transfer partners. There are dozens of transfer partners where you can take. I literally my $12,000 Singapore suite example, which I didn't even have time to throw a picture together.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Those would have cost me 250. Those would have cost me 800,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points. But by learning how to transfer out, not to United, but to Singapore Air, I got them for 50,000 points. So transfer partners are the magic word. That's your biggest redemption multiplier. And then, knowing how to calculate value is also important. So
it is. We have, and I'll throw in just some random comments too. I have a Chase United. Is it possible to move to a Chase Sapphire?
No, unfortunately, that's an individual branded card. What we recommend is just downgrade that to the free version, or just stop spending on that card. Start spending on Chase Sapphire. Yes. Chase Sapphire transfers to United, so you can earn just as many points. You actually earn points faster because of earning multipliers, and you have flexibility. So if United has the best deal, great, transfer to United. If Southwest has the best deal, transfer there. So it gives you far more flexibility.
And one thing too, replace it, no, but get a new one. Yes, that's right. That does hit your credit. Oh, and we have in the guide section, we had a whole show on this one too. So look again in that guide section. We talked about credit cards. I always talk about how I really brought my credit rating up. Joel, I think I'm at like 125 points up from that conversation that we had in,
nice.
I don't know, April or May. I know, I feel fancy about myself for sure.
Yeah. So that's another free resource inside our guide section.
Yeah, somebody says normally co-branded cards don't have many up and downgrade paths, which is really true too. And the one thing I had I've learned the most is that, and it's so much easier for me to go through my checking account because everything is now through Chase. As much as I can, I pay everything through that. And then you get these multipliers, which are fabulous as well. And yay, thank you. I feel fancy about myself with that too. So I think, are we ready for our random number generator for our final gift card?
Yeah. Let's just recap. So a couple questions, let's just recap what's available for free inside Jagoot Village. And let's just remind what Jagoot Lounge is. But Jagoot Village, if you go to the guide section, Unit 1 are all examples of rule number 1, look every day, how to look every day, where to look every day, how to calculate value. We go more in depth into the $120 rule. Unit 2 is rule number 2. Pretty simple. Plenty of examples about how to earn more efficiently, how to redeem more efficiently, etc. Unit 3, cases and testimonials. This is like 1% of the case studies and testimonials that we have. So we've got plenty of people who say, I will never go back to the old-fashioned way. That's all in Unit 3, and you can watch those to your heart's content. Unit 4, Hail Mary section. Those are like what you do if you don't have points. These are like 3 of our 10 Hail Mary plays that we have inside the lounge. And these are 3 really good ones. Like if someone asked about last-minute travel, Hail Mary play.
Yep.
What do you do if something doesn't pass the $120 test and you don't have points? Hail Mary play. And that's Unit 4. Unit 5 is the credit. So what do you do to improve your credit so you can get into this point hacking game?
Yep.
That's Jagoot Village. That's for free. Never any obligation to join our paid program. As Jessica put it in a case study a couple weeks ago, Jagoot Lounge is our paid coaching program, and it's Jagoot Village on steroids.
It really is. It is a fire hose for sure. Yeah. And again, you can go back and look at all these videos that we've done too, because Joel and I meet every Monday. Sometimes it's not even Joel, it's me and someone else. We have different people who pop in and talk about their vacation. So, all right, I'm going to show the screen. Are you ready?
Yes.
So that way, so y'all know this is the magic with the random number generator. Are you ready? Here we go. Boop. 247. There it is.
We have 290 2 comments. Nice.
Is that how many we had? I think that's but yeah, we had a lot of chat. Yes, we did. We've had a lot of viewers today. So thank you to our new viewers who showed up today. Hopefully that was helpful. Eileen says it was helpful. So,
thank you, Eileen. So glad to see you.
And on that note, let me grab the Frenchie. Here's the Frenchie picture. But let's go for the real Frenchie.
All right.
There she is. Oh, ta-ta-ta.
Hey, Frenchie.
What's a day that doesn't end with Gidget the Rescue Frenchie? Thank you, Brooke, for all the requests that we get for her. Isn't she fun?
Yes, she is.
Yes. All right.
Cutie.
Every week people ask. So there she is. This is my rescue Frenchie, Gidget, who sat quietly like a good girl over on the side. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Yay.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Loved all the participation. This is the most we've had in a while. So
it
glad
is.
to have you all aboard.
Great job with all. Then we'll get in touch with everybody who commented and get you the gift card. So we'll see you next week.
Happy travels.
Oh, thank you. Bye.